For my final project, I interviewed my current employer, who is the manager of a Dairy Queen establishment. And I sat down and talked to him about his experiences being a manager in the food service industry. We talked about how you have to start out small and work your way up towards being a manager, and how becoming a manager at first was difficult for him because it's a big change from before and being just a regular employee. He has to gain new respect, not only from the person who moved him up to and gave him the chance to be a manager, but also from the employees who he used to be on the same level as, but now he needs more respect from, and how it's difficult to get that respect, but eventually he did, and that's what made him a good manager. We also talked about hiring, how it's difficult when you need people to just try to hire somebody, and how he wanted to be, you always want to be nice and you want to hire people because you think they deserve a job, but they may not necessarily be a good fit for that job, and how it's difficult to decipher those different people, and how it's hard to hire someone and them be happy that they have a job, and then for you to have to fire them because they can't do the job the way you need them to do. And talked about how he got better at hiring and going through interviews, and how interviews are such an important part of the process because you need to learn as much as you can about that person to decide whether or not you think they're fit to work in the certain area you're hiring for, and if they make a good fit in your restaurant and would be able to keep up and keep your everything running smoothly. We also talked about different training techniques and how the company wants some training that isn't hands-on, where they want you to sit and they want you to watch videos and they want you to be tested simply on information that you're hearing and learning from those videos, because they set a standard for you. But then my manager also likes to do more hands-on, including manager onto no employee training, where he takes you through your area and he gives you a tour and describes the different machinery and the different safety things you need to know about that area, and what your basic tasks are, and how you need whatever information you need to know to do your job so that you can do your job to the best of your capabilities. He then goes through and does 2 or 3 days of hands-on training with you, working on showing you everything you need to know about working in that specific area. After he has worked with you for a few days, he'll take one of the employees who's been there longer and who he trusts to train another employee the way he would want to be treated, or would want them to be trained, and has them work with you so that you get another perspective and other techniques of people on how that you can do the things you are required of, and it gives you a different perspective from a manager to just a general employee who generally does this more often than the manager does. So they have a better idea of time frames you need to do certain things, and what might make something easier and what you might need to spend more time on doing in order to be up to par with the manager. We also talked about how different managing philosophies and how you need to be strict, but you also can't be too strict because that will turn off employees and they will be not as willing to work hard for you and they will not have as much respect for you. In order for your employees to have respect for you, you have to have respect for them and show that to them. And also you need to be sometimes more lenient than you need to be strict because your employees are human, they're not perfect, especially if they're a general employee, they're not up to the same, obviously not up to the same standard as you are a manager. So there's things that they need to work on and there's things that everyone needs to work on. So as a manager, you have to be understanding about that, but you also only have to be understanding about that to certain limits because sometimes things can be more controlled than they have been. And that is what I learned through the interview with my employer about management about his view of management in the food service industry.